Hello, welcome to Invisible Walls, episode 249. I'm Ryan Stevens, and I'm here with Justin Spear, Chris Nguyen, and Marcus Beer. Marcus, you're sitting over there.
I am.
Yeah, we're cool with that. Everything's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been looking at the comments for the last couple of weeks, and not just for when I've been away, but before that. And some people raised some points. I watched the show, and I think you definitely bring a better skill set to controlling the flow of the conversation and asking better questions than I do. So I am back here, ready to just be grumpy.
It's mainly because I don't want the edit to go too long, because I have to make sure it gets out.
Well, that's the thing. I
mean,
reasons. I did email you and suggest this. This didn't come from anybody else at GT. I emailed you and said, look, I think I should go back to my corner where I belong.
You're a weekly special guest now.
Enough of this politics.
I'm always special.
Jeez.
So, but real quick, you have been gone. Anything good? Anything nerd-related in your last 2 weeks, or was it just a lot of drinking?
Well, I spent a week in the UK and then a week in the Champagne region of France. But nerd-related, I mean, I went to the Doctor Who experience in Cardiff, which was fantastic. Bought a bunch of toys, brought something back for Megan as well.
Did you end up playing that PSN Doctor Who game?
I did. It was horrible.
Did you finish it?
No, because it's actually pretty unplayable. It's the worst co-op game ever in the history of humanity. But I actually laid off the games. I mean, I think the only games I played, even though I took my Vita with me, I ended up playing Ridiculous Fishing on the iPad.
I played a little of that because everyone was talking about it, and it's fun. But is it really just go down, go back up, and shoot fish in the air, or does it become more like? I was wondering if it was like
Radical?
frog.
You didn't play Radical Fishing, I guess.
Huh?
Radical Fishing?
No, I didn't. Is that the same thing? Peer pressure.
Kind of. I mean, that's.
I was hoping it was going to be more like frog fractions.
Like Luftbrowser is also
It's
from those guys.
basically as you enhance the stuff.
Oh, the game that's coming out on PSN is by the same dudes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
As you enhance your lure and add the electrocution and the hairdryer and stuff, it's kind of fun. It does need more maps, it does need more stuff, but I mean, it's fun for a couple of bucks, and it kept me amused. So, for, like I said, the very little time I had in between drinking and eating and more drinking and eating.
Jet lag.
I actually didn't have the jet lag.
You lucky bastard.
I know. I did come home to a sick cat, though, and my wife's grandfather died the last day of our honeymoon, so...
Sorry.
It's,
you got to play Bioshock Infinite and watch Game of Thrones.
And Doctor Who.
And Doctor Who, so kind of balanced.
And now I'm back.
So, last week, these guys were at GDC, and I think probably the coolest thing was probably Thief that you saw. Like, Justin was somewhat engaged and talkative about it.
No, that's safe to say. I mean,
Okay.
Thief, it was Thief, and what's the other thing? I guess Battlefield 4, which is
in terms of a peek into next gen. Yeah,
well, I'm definitely curious to see see what you have to say about Thief, because
So you guys saw what, like a level basically get played out?
Pretty much.
Yeah, they did. It's kind of a mission, right? So they still have some hub, and they still have some kind of explore the city, but there are missions you trigger, and then within the missions you can kind of pick your path and do things different ways. You can kill people or knock people out, or be totally invisible.
But like, what makes you actually engage with this? I know we were kind of talking, like I was kind of like, fucking with you because we were all like super hyped on Deus Ex, and it was still a great game, but it wasn't maybe quite where we wanted to be. And I have a feeling this may do the same ride, where it's going to be like a pretty good game, but not really, the next big thing.
Yeah, I don't know what makes you think that, but I would think
I'm just trolling.
From my perspective, I mean, Deus Ex, I think I actually kind of passed on it. Well, Dishonored, Deus Ex just kind of has a connection because some of the same people are working on it, and I feel like this is a good opportunity for them to go, okay, this game was pretty good. Let's take some of that stuff that works. There's some obvious parallels in that it's a first-person game, and it's they're big on the immersion, but it cuts to third person during. Sometimes, like, they have takedowns, which look pretty similar to Deus Ex. Not a bad part of Deus Ex.
But is it kind of just like a refined, reskinned
No,
Deus Ex?
I think it looks different enough. I wouldn't look at it and think.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I wouldn't look at it and think, oh, it looks like Deus Ex.
Aside from, it
looks smoother.
Looking at it, I didn't think it was like running on the same engine or anything like that. Like Battlefield 4 looks like it's running on the upgraded Battlefield 3. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it. To look at screenshots, it looks like the same game.
Yeah, you
wouldn't.
know what I mean? You wouldn't.
Aside from faces, the faces.
Yeah, there's
look
not a
like
ton of surface similarities.
And I'm talking about
there's a couple of design similarities.
No, it looks really, really good. I mean, I tried. I mean, even though we were watching like a kind of like a playthrough of that mission, like I kept trying to focus on like the small things. I'm like, okay, what makes this next gen? What is it? The clothes? Is it the faces? Is it the the scope and scale of the levels, and that's what I was focusing on. So it's like 0 load times in the chunk that we saw.
Were they playing it live?
They were playing.
Yeah,
it
they
live
were playing
with
it
a
live.
controller.
He screwed up
on a
he
PC,
screwed
I'm
something
guessing.
up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously on
So you could
on a
tell.
PC with some specs of probably next gen or whatever, whatever the consoles are. But it was, there was like the hub town area, like walking around freely, being able to kind of do some, I guess first person parkour-esque stuff like mounting and jumping over things on top of buildings,
kind of slide over
and
things,
sliding around.
So like Dishonored then, or
Kind of like that. One thing I will say that I really liked was what is it, the swoop mechanic?
Yeah.
I think they called it swoop. So instead of the Dishonored blink that you have, imagine if you actually just kind of did like a little tuck and dive. You know what I mean? And it's kind of cool
And
because
essentially
it's
what
like,
it is, it's a little different because you can use it laterally, you can go back with it.
Yeah.
It's basically like kind of a quick movement. And it seems like it fits in really good with stealth gameplay. You can use it to get close to people. You can use it to basically let's say you
It's a
see
really
a nice
good-
dark
it's a
spot
really
over
good
there.
gap closer,
You're kind
you
of
know?
hiding
so
in the
you
shadows.
cover a lot of distance in a short amount of time?
yes.
It's kind of a short like.
Instead of
Like a
going in a
sprint
full-on
distance?
sprint, it's a button. It's like it seemed like it was
like
a button
dash,
that
you know?
dashes.
Imagine a game with
yeah,
that
yeah,
button
yeah.
and it's like
and
whoosh,
yeah,
but it has a cool
it feels
effect.
good. Like the
It looks really
the
cool.
way the camera animates to it, like it's not just moving forward really fast.
feels
It kind
very
of does like a little
thiefy.
duck and yeah.
It feels very thiefy. I could go into a room and someone always sees you and it's like whoosh, so you
Yeah.
like draw back really quickly.
It's not
And
only forward. You can also
someone could maybe
you
catch
can
a
also
glimpse of
swoop
you.
backwards,
It
which
looks-
is really nice.
Yeah.
So I mean, we haven't.
I wish we had some footage of this.
Yeah,
but it's
there's the
tough to-
CG trailer, right?
Yeah.
So we haven't had a Thief game in like 10 years, but does it still feel Thiefy? Are there like the arrows and like light? You said light and dark does matter. That was one of the things that kind of
Yes.
bugged me in Dishonored a little bit. Is that like the kind of the shadows and taking out lights, like
Yeah,
going
breaking
from like a
lights.
game like Splinter
Yeah.
Cell, where it was fun
Lights
to like
matter.
take out
On
lights.
Thief, yeah, you have like you can.
They have like
I
these
think
cryo
they call them
arrows. I don't know.
snuff arrows now.
I
They
can't
might
remember what they're
change
called
it.
them.
They might change it.
It's kind of like the water arrows from. I mean, I've only
Yeah.
played like the first 2 levels of the last.
You
Thief.
can take out lights
I can't
from a
get past
distance
the
like
first-
that.
the first
He can,
section.
he kind of grabs at candles. The hands come up a lot. Like
Oh yeah,
if you're in a corner,
Uncharted level, context sensitive, hands
you'll
doing
kind
things.
of stick to a corner a little bit. You can see your hands. You can peer around.
So there's a real
you
sense
know
of, like,
you're a little
his
bit safe.
person.
Yeah, it feels like
When you're doing the swoop
You're
stuff,
always
do you
seeing
see
the hands.
Garrett? What's his name? Garrett?
it's not a third person.
It's in
thing.
first person when you do the swoop.
No, but do you see any of his limbs or anything like that when he's doing that stuff?
I don't
You know, that's a
remember.
really tiny question that I can't be bothered to answer. But it's a good effect. It feels, it feels like there's some physicality to the move. It's not just like, camera's like, romp, romp, It feels like a little bit of a crouch and it seems like they worked on
it
it.
gives a good illusion
The
of spatial
movement looks
awareness,
good.
which
It
is
feels
a big thing
like-
for me.
Did they fuck up, like
there a
going off
little
of
bit.
Rohan did that thing about what he wants to see from Thief? I mean, did they fuck up the stealth at all? Like how lethal is it? How bad is it if you do get spotted?
It seems like there's a good bit of gray area, honestly.
Yeah, I mean they didn't.
I mean, is it like sword fighting or like kind of first person melee
There is some
stuff?
sword fighting. The only actual fighting they saw, they used the focus, which is kind of, it's like a resource. You
yeah.
can use it to kind of slow down time. But the focus combat, essentially, that you can see weak spots on the guys, kind of like pressure points. You're using your knowledge of the human body to rapidly strike points. So they went into that. He hit the points, and the guy is kind of taken out a little bit
explain
automatically.
that
They
more.
didn't show.
So-
How do you hit the points? You just like highlight them? Is it like
Pretty much
tracing
as it
reticule?
goes
Yeah,
into,
you can see the points.
It slows
you have a
down and
reticle.
you kind of just hover over these. It's like augmented reality. You see 3 circles like in my head, my knee, kind of like they described it as like the Sherlock Holmes kind of, oh, I can attack him in his thing. It's like, but
your
it's
acupressure
slowly
points.
moving. And
I'll
you
take a look at
you
that.
highlight over it and you kind of just go ping
No,
ping
you
ping,
lock their chi,
and then it
actually.
does the little
Is he stabbing with a dagger, or do they not really show? Or is he
He
punching?
struck the guy. He used
Yeah.
a blackjack a lot.
yeah the black
Okay.
yeah.
So, but you can shoot people in the head with an arrow and kill them.
Something.
But it seems like a lot of.
Did they talk about the economy at all? Like, I mean,
We're
'cause what was
we're kind of like rapidly flying through it.
Yeah.
They did. They
Okay.
said there, you need money to actually buy resources.
Like
And they said
arrows
if you
and stuff.
play really aggressively, it's possible that you could, be like, oops, I
You'll
kind of
run
blew
out.
all my stuff.
Yeah.
I can't
like
really
that, though.
afford to replace everything.
Like arrows, you mean,
And you'll
and
have to
stuff?
change your play
Or-
style.
Arrows.
They
I mean,
didn't
I'm
get-
gonna assume traps.
They
too,
didn't get
Traps.
very.
I don't remember
specific.
specifically into
I can
it,
just
but
imagine those.
Yeah,
kind
they
of
did
things.
say there's an economy thing, so you want to steal things not because it's a collectible, because this will help you. This will
I mean, did they show?
enable you to do more
Did they?
cool
Were
stuff.
there still like in the old games you had your mission, but then there was also did you find all the treasure in a level?
There seems like there's
like behind a wall, or
They
behind a
didn't-
painting.
They
There may
didn't
be
show a
a
screen, but there's a lot of taking people's watches, finding opportunities. You can. There was an office he went into the main office basically for this brothel and like cleaned it out. There's some huge amounts of loot in it. You don't have to do that. Your mission is to steal this guy's medallion, but it seemed like pretty open. Of course, when you're watching a guided demo, it's hard to get a sense for how differently can you really do things. But he demonstrated a lot of cool stuff. He distracted a guy with an arrow. He shot a switch that trapped him in a room. He did a non-lethal takedown on a guy. He, some guards were rushing through when he was alerted. He, shot an arrow through the guy's head. It seems like you have a good bit of freedom of action, and it's not just, if the guards are like, oh, caution state, oh, okay, he's not here. Oh, alert state, whatever, chase you down. It seemed like the guards would give a lot of different voice cues based on what they thought might have happened, or if you use the swoop and you pass through light for a second, they might have seen something, but they don't know if it's a person.
Like a quasi-investigative state?
Yeah, they're like, wait a minute, what was that? So,
Okay.
it seemed pretty good. It was a pretty impressive demo.
Was it
Of
still
course,
like
we didn't get to play it, so
hiding bodies and
Take it
stuff
with
like
a grain of
that,
salt.
or
He dragged one body, right? Pretty sure. I think I
maybe
saw it.
he was
Can't
he was
remember
playing
exactly.
pretty stealthy.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys he took out, he kind of left some guys in the beginning of the area, and went into the kind of the proper place and snuck around a lot.
did you end up playing Dishonored?
taking watches?
No, only
Only-
like the one level I got to play.
Did you play it? I
Yeah,
can't remember.
yeah.
It looked like Dishonored, but fun.
Do you remember there was the power up where the
Sorry.
bodies would just disintegrate?
Yes.
And it seems so silly because it's like literally answering a mechanical thing.
Yeah.
But
Oh, there wasn't there also one, wasn't it like the rats? Would,
rat swarm or something
Yeah.
like that would eat the bodies or
yeah.
something.
I mean,
Some
that was one of the
skeletons.
high points
They
of
eat the
Dishonored for
bones,
me.
too.
I mean, well, yeah,
They're
you
hungry.
Alligator
There's a
rats.
famine going on.
kill somebody and then toss them over a wall into a pile of rats, and they're like piranhas.
But it's one of those things where hiding bodies sometimes is that kind of line where it's cool, but there's also kind of a line of like it being a little of a tedious action. So it is kind of one of those things where, like in a stealth game, which is kind of rides that line of tedium already, where you're kind of stalking. I mean, you're really into stealth games, Chris.
I
Are you getting a good
Some-
are you getting a good vibe off of this one?
I am, but the biggest thing that has me worried is this focus meter. It's just in the same vein as what had me worried with Hitman Absolution, because they said flat out like you can play the game without.
Yeah, you
it.
can disable
But that's
it.
the same thing with Hitman Absolution. But the game was fundamentally built around having this meter of getting by.
Well,
Choke
to me,
points.
Is this
You know what I mean?
it doesn't seem quite like with Hitman. It seems like you're burning mana to do
That's-
something
no,
like
but it
totally
seemed kind
game
of-
breaking,
I
where
mean,
it's like
there
no
was-
one knows who
yes,
I am.
yes,
I'm putting my hand
I
up.
completely
But
agree,
for
but-
this, it seems like slow down time a little bit, slow down time in combat. It's like a little boost you can use.
We didn't see much, but I'm just saying like
did show the
with
thief vision mode,
showing
though. It does
showing
have a
a
vision
focus
mode.
meter like that just makes me think of all the times the game's gonna force me to use it.
Did they say it was
it
it was a
doesn't-
rechargeable
it
one,
doesn't
or was it one that
recharge.
just
I don't think it.
finite?
They
I
said
don't
that
know
you
if it
could.
recharges.
They said you
They're
could
still
run out of it
balancing.
during
They
a
said they're
mission.
still very much
they're still
balancing
working on
it,
it.
but I mean,
So it could be per mission. You only can use
It didn't
X
look
amount
like
of
it didn't look
times.
like easy mode to me though, because
It's
it
not-
doesn't
no,
help
it's not
you.
easy
It doesn't
mode,
help you
but-
with stealth. It helps you do things like quickly, like you could pickpocket a guy, take 3 things off of
Yes,
him. You're like,
but-
this guy has a
and
key.
let's face it,
I
you're
lost
also-
the key. I'm
you're-
gonna grab
Let's
his watch and
let's get this
steal a
boil
wallet.
this down though. Is focus mode basically slowing down time?
it's not. Oh,
Use
no,
it
you
for
kind of have like a
specific
little.
things.
You have a little bit more awareness, like things. You have like Bruce Wayne Detective Vision, Arkham Asylum.
So you're
You
basically
can
more
use it at
focused.
different times.
You have that.
So there's
and,
multiple uses.
And imagine if you're pickpocketing. When you're pickpocketing or lockpicking, everything's still happening in real time around you. But if you happen to just spend a little bit of focus or mana, essentially, you pick the lock like really fast, or it's
It
a
just
lot
makes
faster.
it makes it easier.
It makes
highlights-
it easier. What I'm thinking though is
just,
that it just bugs me when
speeds you through it.
when you have the option to have it or not have it, because when you not have it and you want to play it purist mode, you're essentially like not only handicapping yourself, but the parts in the game they're like, yeah, will probably
Well, I think
be
in
good to have.
Hitman, just how are you able to use it? You could instantly you could get a free pass to walk anywhere you want, essentially.
Yeah.
So you're kind of affecting the main part of the game's design. In Thief, it seems like this helps you doing things that you would already be doing, picking locks, picking pockets.
The
it
one
doesn't
example
let
that
you
I had-
bypass
the one example from the
something
demo that
completely.
I thought of this that made me wonder was when he was pickpocketing like this woman with her with a back turn, and it was like kind of obvious she wouldn't stand there very long. And I'm like, well, is that an NPC that has really good loot on her, but you can only pickpocket her if you do use the focus?
I think
You
she
know what
had
I
one
mean?
important item, and then he's like, okay, you've got a letter I need. And also, I'm going to take your watch and got something here.
Yeah.
And it's just
But
like,
it's
So
not-
it
what
sounds
are
like
these?
it sounds like
Get
a
your
good
garter
demo,
belt.
though,
Yeah, it's
right?
a-
Like you guys
it was
have
a-
more
it was a controlled
questions, but
demo.
you were kind of not controlled. No, a good demo. Like you have more questions. You're curious about it. You're
I'm
not
super
totally
psyched
you're
about
not
it.
totally in love with it.
I'm just
I liked it a lot. I was
But
really
I think
Yeah.
I
a
think
fan
the
of it.
points you're raising, I mean, it goes back to it's a good demo because it makes you think about where do
how
I
you wanna
spend this
play
stuff?
it.
If I am judicious, because you are playing a thief, and you're not playing somebody who is like, oh right, well I've decided I'm going to quit my job as a doctor and I'm going to become a thief from now on. It's somebody who is highly practiced, highly skilled, and that sort of perception thing, as you pointed out with Sherlock Holmes movies, and how it works, thinking stuff through. That I think actually just helps immerse you into the character a little
I
bit more.
completely agree with that, because I like being able to have the power, but it's when the game uses that as a crutch.
I think as long
Is
as you're
when
not
I'm-
using
when
it
I'm
to
worried. I haven't
bypass
seen
the
anything
main
that-
part
Or
of the game's
necessity.
design.
Instead of making an area really difficult, and instead of having
out of jail free card?
instead of it being just a get out of jail free card, it's almost a necessity. Yes,
Okay.
it's like the only way to really get past this without really kind of jankily going through it and just pulling mob style and doing stuff that's just not right. I guess.
Like I said, to me, it doesn't seem like it lets you bypass main part of the game's design. Hitman is just like, do.
I know. I'm saying
totally disguised no matter
I'm
what
only
I've done.
saying nothing in the demo made me think that
Don't
made me
mind
think.
me.
It's just its presence alone makes me wonder.
Yeah,
and makes
that's
me
one
worried.
thing. I'm
that's
sure
the only thing.
Classic,
It's-
fans of the series are like, that wasn't in the old game, but to me, it's like, try to push the design forward at least.
So
I did want to say one more thing,
Sure,
just
sure.
real quick.
Yeah.
The comparison to Dishonored that I thought, and the reason I couldn't really get into Dishonored, I felt like in Dishonored that all of the cool tools you get are tools for, getting into combat, blowing people up, killing people. Here, it seems like, you have a lot of the non-lethal arrow options, and the swoop ability looks like you can use it in a really good stealthy way. It seems like they're giving you fun ways to play around that go into the, the stealth kind of gameplay,
Instead of the
the
combat
thief kind
side.
of gameplay, instead of just saying, there's a lot of fun tools, but if you want to be cool, you'll just limit yourself and, kind of play really meticulously. Here, it looks like, you have a little bit more toys to, kind of play out your role as a thief. You're going to take everything, you're going to screw with people, you're going to mess with people's minds. So, I don't know, I was pretty impressed, but
I just want to take 10 seconds to say clothing looks really good in this game.
Clothing.
Clothing,
Yeah, that's the next gen.
that's
True next
like
gen.
I remember seeing like one of the ladies that he pickpocketed when she walks by the first time, like just seeing like the sleeves and everything. I mean, we're talking like you like Batman, or in Batman's cape, or Ezio's cloak, and you've seen cloth like that, but not like this. This looked really good. I was really impressed.
Well,
with
hopefully
it.
we'll see gameplay soon.
Yeah.
no nudity in the brothel, though. I'd dock it 1 point for that.
Well, other than this, you guys see anything else cool at GDC?
Oh man, I mean,
Are we
GDC
going
was
to
less
go
than-
back to GDC later for a little?
This is the GDC
forget-
time.
totally
But
GDC.
we can bring up specific stuff later during.
And I guess I
the
mentioned
grab bag.
we did see the
What's that
Sony
one?
Indie Arcade thing. I played some Luft browsers, and before I
That's one you brought up earlier.
Yeah,
right?
I'd played it in the browser before. It's essentially a game about. It's one screen. You're a fighter pilot. You can kind of customize your plane's body and weapons, and you essentially try to survive. Things get harder, and new enemies come in. It's a lot of fun. I mean, we can play some video of it. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I played it a bit, and I just kept I kept continuing my game as soon as I got.
Because the games are
killed, so.
short and sweet, Like they
Fun
last
to
maybe
screw
like a
around
minute
with.
or
How
two.
do you pronounce it again?
Luft browsers.
Browsers.
It's like Luftwaffe.
Luftwaffe.
But
Mein Leben.
Browsers, which is like rabble rousers.
Cool.
Probably the same word.
I mean, we talked about Battlefield a ton, but I know you're a huge fan.
I love
Press F to
Battlefield.
cut
What did you
leg.
think, man, about F to
I-
cut leg?
That leg, cut leg.
It's a
Yeah,
total
the
eclipse
whole
of his
time I was
heart.
saying, I was like, okay, how is this gonna as impressive as the faces? I love the faces. It's like that's one thing that I always really like in video games is when they can convince me that it's like a good performance as opposed to just LA Noire, which is just video. It's like some animation. Anyway, faces are great. I'm looking at the tech and wondering how is this stuff's going to be implemented in the multiplayer, because that's what everyone really wants from it.
Multiplayer faces.
I hope maybe multiplayer faces are going to be that great.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Maybe when you talk
I
in
don't
your
want to hit a
mic,
dead horse,
they'll-
but I mean, I think Marcus probably has a word
Yes,
or two
we
to
do.
say. But I mean,
Me?
there's such a separation here between like tech and gameplay. Where I mean, we said the same thing about Warfighter, right? Warfighter
Yeah.
was abysmal,
Yeah.
but it looked, especially on PC, it looked great.
The only new thing is just being
This
able to
looks like,
command
I know it's
your
the first
troops
level
to
and
fire.
stuff's kind of
That's
easy,
kinda
but
it.
it looked a lot like shooting fish in a barrel.
lot like
Yeah.
moment
Shooting.
to moment, like little
Yeah, it was
almost like leaning out of the car to shoot the helicopter. That stuff's good in small doses and stuff,
Yeah.
but it looked like almost going from like turret section to turret section, even if you're not on a
I completely agree. I'm not eager to jump into the single player. I'm just eager to find more
Yeah,
information.
I mean,
about
I hate
multiplayer.
that they focus their message on that. They're like, these graphics will let us create, more emotion, using the same old shit we've been doing for over and over. But now, this same shit will be so much better. And I don't clearly, I don't buy it. I hate that they focus on that.
That's my cue.
It's just a little disappointing.
Yeah,
there were moments during that thing where I was like, wow, I was like kind of enthralled by the graphics. And some moments where I was just like, it's like, how many times have I done this? And it doesn't look any different. And I don't have any connection to these characters. This is like the prologue of the game.
I don't know what EA's publicity department is smoking right now, but they seem to stumble from absolute disaster to absolute disaster. They couldn't organize an orgy in a brothel, as far as I'm concerned. If you look at, we've had the SimCity debacle, and now watching that Battlefield trailer and hearing hearing what he had to say, the emotion, the tech allows us to give the emotion,
Choices.
and the fact that we're just coming off game of year in The Walking Dead, which was all about emotion and choices and everything else, and it wasn't the best tech engine in the world. It didn't need to be. It was down to good acting, good writing, something that the guys at DICE don't need to worry about, because they shouldn't be doing single player for Battlefield. Battlefield's a multiplayer game. Just put out a multiplayer game, update it once a year, go the World of Warcraft route. People will pay for it. Just take it off our shelves, make it downloadable only, and stop fannying around with, oh, look, hit this button to saw his leg off. Really, that's emotion. The only emotion it's got me going is
well, sawing would make more sense. This was just cutting.
This was instant.
Yeah.
Like used a
sharpest
lightsaber.
We're really picking on this one segment, but it really I don't know.
It's hard not to fix it.
It was right in my face.
It was puerile. It was
pretty,
just puerile.
I don't know. The fact that he got his leg pinned twice is pretty.
Well, I gotta ask.
Pretty stupid.
Any
too.
thoughts about the Marvel superhero Lego game?
Oh,
or the other Warner Brothers game, which wasn't Batman. What was it?
Infinite Crisis?
Yeah.
But Lego Marvel, their tech it's getting more Lego-y every time.
Can we spend 20 minutes talking about Lego games now?
Again?
Yeah,
it's so
because
charming
I know
and
how much
toy-like.
the viewers love 20 minutes on my Lego games.
I haven't got to see the stuff yet, but I heard it is actually impressive.
It's just it's like super charming, living toy kind of stuff. I'm not so into it. I'm not so into the past Lego games. I am not.
Did they say like how many
so into
heroes
Marvel
are going to be in it? I mean, that would
They
be
said
the big
a bunch.
draw, right?
They said a bunch, and they're constantly like, hey, maybe we can get this guy.
Kitty
They're trying to
Pryde.
pull in everyone. Yeah, Kitty Pryde just for you.
So I'm curious. I must have missed the Infinite Crisis discussion. So what's Infinite Crisis?
It's,
MOBA Dota,
it's
MOBA
a
Dota,
DC MOBA.
It's like Lord of the Rings Online.
So yeah,
So
I think Warner is
Battle
looking
for
at
Middle Earth, but for PC.
Yeah.
So without the
So
console
they're
stuff.
taking the
but with
Infinite
license.
Crisis storyline, which is one of the best storylines in the history of the DC universe. And I'm
you
no
sure?
disrespect to the MOBA fans. I know there are a lot of you. It's not my cup of tea. But they're turning the
And
Infinite
bananas.
Crisis into a MOBA game.
Well, I mean,
They did
how
it
else
to
are you gonna have
Guardians.
it?
Is it Monolith again or no?
No,
I don't
it's
think- it's online. It's
it slipped
the
my
Lord of the
mind.
Rings online people.
Yeah, I mean these dudes have no disrespect to the studio
Turbine?
at all. They've done some
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
think-
it's
yeah.
Turbine?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, so D&D
No,
Online.
Turbine makes good stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're probably being made to make a MOBA because they're like, oh, MOBA money.
I would
Some of that MOBA
love
money.
to know how well Guardians did, because it is the most traditional. There's
you
awesome
know
knots. I know you
Frodo's
like.
in it now?
Yeah, I saw.
They
it.
just
99 Combat.
announced
But
Frodo.
they're backing it up with this giant content plan. But then it
Yeah.
was free to play on PSN Plus and stuff. So I mean, I know you were a Monday Night Combat fan, and I know you're a big League of Legends fan. But like Awesome Knots and
I like Awesome
Monday Night Combat, they're cool, but nothing's really hit that.
It's
kind
not
of
been like
critical
as close
point.
to a one-to-one translation from the PC MOBAs
as
to
Guardians,
console.
and we know
Guardians
we
is
had
the
problems.
closest
We had
to a PC
problems with
MOBA.
Guardians.
Yes.
So I'm still curious if Warner are they chasing a dragon, or is
This is PC though.
Oh, it's PC.
Yes,
Sorry,
it's
wow.
PC,
I made a bad assumption there.
Yeah. It's not console. It's PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they fixing some of the stuff they did wrong with Guardians?
It's totally it's totally different.
Is there a store?
It's different.
Yeah. I mean.
Oh, for you mean?
Like,
Well,
like,
you said
like,
how
like
there
League
is
of
no-
Legends. It's
It's
really
very-
close
yeah,
to
it's
League of
really
Legends
lowly.
and Dota. You know, it's,
Okay.
It's really close to it, which is a good thing because I mean, it has its own gameplay tweaks. I'm not going to go into crazy details because I could be here for a while trying to explain why they're different. But it does have its own you know-
Jungling?
Yeah. If it doesn't have jungling, you won't like it, right? No, it's interesting. What they do. What is interesting about it is you'll have like Nightmare Batman and Steampunk. I forgot what his name is. Batman.
Gaslight Catwoman. Gaslight. The Gaslight.
Yeah, so there's
universe.
different Batman.
That's a stupid
and
fucking
those are
name. Can you explain that? Gaslight World.
real quick
What
though.
The hell?
There are different Batmans.
That's on
and
the wrong
those-
side of the steampunk, dorky, and cool.
But
line.
there are so many different realities within the DC universe. I just can't get back to. And again, no disrespect to League of Legends fans and the MOBA fans, that they are basically taking one of the best storylines in DC Comics history and putting it into a MOBA when they could actually turn it into something way bigger and way cooler.
That's what they should do.
I mean, I'm just stunned. I mean, it's like taking The Godfather and putting it onto an iOS game. And like I said, no disrespect meant to the League of Legends fans. I don't get it personally. I've tried playing those games, but there could be that could be a AAA freaking game that's a serious, full-on multi-platform game that's based around the Infinite Crisis series.
I just have a thing. This is going into deep nerd territory, and Brandon Jones is probably going to punch me in the jaw. But like DC seems like they're always going to be on the underdog side. Like Batman's really cool. I think everyone likes Batman, but there's this like Mortal Kombat in DC versus Marvel versus Capcom. It's always like the B team, right? Even when there was like X-Men Legends and then that Justice League spin-off game came out.
Well,
it's the same thing.
DC have never been great at marketing their properties in anything beyond the comic books, and then the movies started to change that.
But they do the deal. Batman has, but like, did you see the Green Lantern movie? It was not good.
It was not good. People are saying good stuff about Man of Steel, and we'll see what happens with that. From a comic book perspective, I mean, I have way more Batman books in my house than any other thing. I'm a huge fan of the X-Men and Spider-Man, and it's one of those things that I think you hit a certain stage and you start appreciating. DC is not elitist. I mean, it's just one of those ones that I think the Marvel stuff is for fun, and DC has the better story arcs, and I'm sure there's a bunch.
See,
of
I just feel like
with
with these like reaching out beyond comics, I just feel like with nothing to back this up and me just being a spiteful person, if you told me that DC was going to make a MOBA game and Marvel was going to make a MOBA game, I would just, like with no reason, I'm an asshole, I would just right out assume that the Marvel MOBA game would probably be better.
Well, Marvel has more familiarity with its characters. I mean, they've
Except now Disney owns them and they'd probably just fuck it up.
Yeah, but no, I mean, Marvel does have all these characters that people know. They can name Spider-Man, the X-Men, and the Hulk and the Avengers because they've done a better job of pulling those properties across. But I mean, you look at the best comic book game, and that is still, in my opinion, Arkham City, Arkham Asylum. I mean, that is still.
I would totally agree, but and again, I have a lot of little caveats here. I'm being a dick, but like Batman, I also feel sits on a slightly different pedestal as opposed to the rest of the DC Legion.
Well, I mean, DC also have the worst video game comic book ever in Superman 64. So they do have they do have both sides of the spectrum.
And speaking of bad games, segue to there's not that many games in April. There is a DC game in April.
There is, which actually I don't think looks that bad. I mean, it's more interesting to me than Marvel vs.
They were
Capcom.
playing it yesterday, and they said it's like Mortal Kombat 9 or whatever the last Mortal Kombat was,
I
which
like
is a good thing.
I like Mortal Kombat versus DC. I did. I mean, I am not and again, people
Did you
will
play it?
come at me.
Did you play it yesterday?
I didn't play it.
Okay,
And I
then
played it with
Patrick.
my eyes. I looked at it.
Well, Patrick's the guy, but I mean, if people come at me for saying that I
wish they
don't
would've
like
made it a little
Marvel versus
different.
Capcom, because I don't. But I love DC. Again, it's this more serious take, and I am looking forward to getting
Serious?
Injustice. Well, no, it's just visually, it's kind of like this. It's either
not a cartoon.
It's Mortal Kombat, which is more visceral
Janky.
and
Yeah.
and the other. But then you got Marvel vs. Capcom, which is more comic booky. And some people like one, some people like the other.
That's a
I've
fair
always
point.
preferred.
I wish
Mortal
it
Kombat.
looked a little. I wish they did a little more to differentiate it from Mortal Kombat. It still kind of has that stiff kind of these characters used to be digitized and now they look like this. I mean, it
That's
seems like
retro.
they carried a lot over, I think, from the old Mortal Kombat. And to me, it looks like the combat looks a little bit cartoony and weightless to me, and maybe I don't know. I
haven't
kind of wish
seen
they
it.
would have gone a little bit differently aesthetically.
I haven't seen it
They have that
since
horrible
E3 last
kinda
year when I got to
90s.
sit down and play it.
Yeah, there's the demos out now.
I know
so.
that, the demo came out while I was away, so I mean, I haven't fired up the Xbox yet.
But I mean, if you guys, I made handouts. Is anyone playing it? I mean, unless you have to do a review, is anyone planning on playing any of this stuff coming out?
Well, I would
played Dark
say
Arisen, Dragon's Dogma.
And that's a good
I'm
point.
all
A lot
over
of this
that
stuff,
fucking
like
thing.
Dark Arisen, I know Papa Neo's coming out. A
game
lot of these are like
version.
updates. I mean, I realize there's
It
a
is.
hefty chunk of new stuff there for that
Maybe.
one in
I
particular.
hope it's a.
It's like a mega dungeon, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I hope it's mega enough.
But I mean, like even on the DLC front, I mean that's harder to know, like actually knock down dates. But it is going to be pretty dry. I mean, May in particular, Metro Last Light, I have hopes for because 2033 had a lot of cool stuff, but it was also not always very fun to play.
Yeah, if they've sorted some of the glitches in the first Metro game, that's something that was one of the high points for me at E3 last year.
Yeah, but that's a vertical slice, so I mean, I'm still a little apprehensive. I think Insomniac's Fuse, I'm still have zero interest in. I'm looking into May, and then it's like Donkey Kong Country Returns again on the 3DS. I mean, thank God we talked about Luigi's Mansion last week. Sorry, Chris, but I really wanted to talk about it because it's so good.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
But like, I'm looking at the
demand.
Here's the thing. Xbox, PS3, they're in a weird holding pattern in a way, because we know the new consoles are coming. We know there's still some stuff coming out. But the Vita and the 3DS should be putting out games every month that are good. I mean, they're in their prime. They're in their second year. You know, people should have figured out the software jinx and get stuff going. And it's a desert.
I think if it wasn't for Tecmo, there would be no new releases on the 3DS. Because I mean, the last two games I got, sorry, not for the 3DS, for the Vita, the last two Vita games I got, Dead or Alive and Ninja Gaiden.
And ports again.
Yeah, they're ports, but I mean, again, at least it is.
That's what it does.
Soul Sacrifice, maybe cool. I'm not sure. I never got to mess around with the demo, even though a million people told me I should. But again, that's one game. I mean, these systems are becoming GameCubes. You know.
I would say
it has been,
in April, Injustice,
it's kind of started.
Dead Island Riptide, because I was a big fan of the first
have a
Dead
handle on
Island, and look, I am still curious about Star Trek.
Oh no, me too.
I looked
okay.
when we saw it at Namco's event last year.
Yeah.
It was like, this is kind of interesting, and I mean, they've obviously released this new Kirk versus Gorn trailer, which is looking a little bit ridiculous, but I'm still holding out some hope that this is going to be interesting.
I think it may be one of those games that I secretly kind of like, the secret sevens.
The guilty
it gets
pleasure?
a 7, and you're like, but I kind of had some fun with it. But you maybe not want to put money into it.
Some of my best friends are 7s.
Oh really? Okay, 7, 8, 9. Anyway, but like I don't know. I still like the idea of how Spock and Kirk play a little differently. Like that cool scene where the poison doesn't affect Spock and he's dragging Kirk away.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I don't know how the shooting will be. Digital Extremes, they have a track record of being C+, B-, like Pariah, Dark Sector. I mean, is the Darkness 2 their best game? I know they did like map pack work, I think, for like Unreal and stuff, but these guys know what's up, but I just sometimes feel like maybe they just get rushed into things. They need a little more time to plan stuff out. I think it could be a fun game to at least maybe you hit up Redbox or something and check it out.
It won't be in the Game of the Year categories at the end of the year by any stretch of the imagination, but it is Star Trek. It is a little filler
I also
before
hate
the
Star
movie.
Trek.
Okay.
I like the J.J. Abrams stuff. I thought the movie was great,
Yeah.
but in general, I think.
Well, I'm interested to
Trek
see how
bad.
this whole working with Paramount and J.J. Abrams having the sign off and helping create the story and having this gap.
Well, we should do full disclosure because Paramount's also owned by Viacom. But I will say their Warriors game did kind of suck dick. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah,
pants,
not
but-
the Rockstar Warriors, but they made a DLC
they
Warriors
made another
game.
one?
Yeah,
The Rockstar Warriors wasn't that great, but it was kind of interesting.
I never actually played it.
So is nobody excited for Deadly Premonition, the director's cut on the PS3?
The game you would not send us when you were over at Ignition.
I would not send it to you
screwed up that one.
until Jim Sterling gave it a 10 out of 10.
Until everyone
and then
said it
was
was
like,
cool.
yes, have it. I was terrified about that game. I really didn't know how to market it. And, it was one of those ones that, the first review we got was a 2 out of 10 from IGN. And then Sterling came along and saved the day, and I will always be grateful for him.
No, there's something about these cult games, right?
That bribe must have worked, eh?
I did.
What did you have to do?
No,
What did you have to do?
the things I do. No, it went to him, and he got it. He
Cult
liked
game.
it. So
Yeah, Jamie, one of our guys he does a lot of moderation on the site. He's like played the game like a billion times. We had, oh God, what's his name? Who's the main dude behind it? Anyway, when they came in for the Swery, he had him sign his copy and everything. I like when games kind of have this cult following. I mean, I like that this game came out. I don't know if in the next generation of games, if games like this will be able to be printed on physical media.
well, I mean, honestly, they don't need to be.
Things are
changing.
They don't need to be, and I think that is the beauty of the downloadable content, that we will see perhaps games like this being, we may see a sequel to Deadly Prem getting kickstarted, and that would be an interesting one, to see hit, and I'd be down for that.
Do you ever read Game Developer Magazine?
Yeah.
They do the postmortems, and that was like my favorite postmortem because it's always like months, budget, lines of code, and then for Deadly Premonition it was cigarettes smoked. And it was like, I think they estimated 18,000 cigarettes. And I'm like, I wonder if a couple of those were Marcus's cigarettes.
Well, who do you? Well, no, actually, the game was done. I mean, by the time it was Ignition, but that post-mortem, I basically I was in contact with Swery to get that done, and he wrote reams and reams, and then I had to read it all and obviously proofread and check for anything controversial. But there was stuff that didn't make it in because he could have rewritten the entire magazine for that month. He is such a passionate guy and such a great character. I would actually, Swery, start a Kickstarter, Deadly Premonition to Return of the Coffee.
Deadlier Premonition.
Coffee. We actually did the April Fool's thing, which was the Game of Year edition, which was $29.99, came with a travel coffee maker and a mug and a Team Alex t-shirt. And people actually want to try and pre-order it on Amazon.
I feel like I'm missing a joke.
You should check out Deadly Premonition.
Coffee
Yeah.
is
If you like Twin
You may
Peaks,
actually like
it's
it.
that.
I never played. I never
that
heard.
fun.
Of,
It's really weird.
Yeah,
Really
Hang on.
weird.
Do you want to say that loudly for everybody?
I've never heard of Twin Peaks.
Let's move on to
Do you have a Netflix streaming account?
Yeah.
Okay, go check it out.
But not Firewalk with Me. That was just
parts of it. Parts of
know.
it.
I
What?
think it's fine.
David Bowie.
It's fine.